and be seated, please. It is 2 o'clock, and it is 2 o'clock, and I've been told that we have to be out of here by 4. So we've got to start on time, and we're going to have to end early, and we will. So in any case, before I introduce our speaker, I want to thank Jerusalem Cafe, who donated baklava that will be available after the event. Thank you all for coming to hear Mubarak Awad speak about ending the cycle of violence in Israel-Palestine. My name is Spencer Graves. I'm a member of the Forum Committee for this church. Last October, I suggested to that the Forum invite someone to speak about the nonviolence of the First Intifada. They said I should not just get someone to address the Sunday morning forum, but should also come here for a Saturday event, as well as the Sunday morning presentation. The world's leading expert on nonviolence in the First Intifada, from what I know, is Dr. Mubarak Awad. He is Palestinian, born in Jerusalem in 1943, bachelor's, master's, PhD, in the U.S., U.S. citizen, founded the Palestinian Centre for the Study of Nonviolence in Jerusalem in 1983, evicted by Israel in 1988 for his role in inspiring the nonviolence of the First Intifada. That nonviolence did several things. First, it got more Palestinians involved doing things to express their displeasure with the mistreatment that they have received at the hands of the Israeli occupiers, because they could do so without the moral quandary involved in committing violence and without as big a risk as you would take if you're committing violence. Second, increasing numbers of Israeli military personnel went to prison rather than following orders to kill nonviolent Palestinian protesters or to break their bones. Third, it increased the number of Israelis who thought they could live in peace with Palestinians. What a thought. Yitzhak Rabin was Israel's defense minister when the Intifada began. If increasing numbers of soldiers were refusing to obey orders, what could he do? He ran for prime minister on a platform of negotiating with Palestinians. His victory in 1992 led to the Oslo Accords, which promised a two-state solution. However, and I believe that if the nonviolence of the First Intifada had been and continued, we would have that two-state solution today. It would have been viable. However, both Rabin and Palestinian leader Yasser Arafat were threatened by the nonviolence. Arafat did not want to be replaced as the leader of the Palestinians. Israel expelled 481 leaders of the nonviolence, including Mubarak, and arrested tens of thousands of others. Finally, they got the Palestinian violence needed to justify overwhelming counter-violence and to reestablish their dominance in the occupied territories and accelerate the creation of more Israeli settlements justified by security needs. This program is being live streamed on YouTube. If you log in, you can post questions in the chat, which will be asked of the speaker on your behalf, time permitting. And people in the room are asked to please silence your cell phones. There's a handout with a couple of QR codes on the front and the back. If you've got questions for Mubarak, please take your cell phone and follow the first QR code, and you can post your questions over there, and Mary Hiladki in the back will be monitoring those questions, and we'll ask them of Mubarak on your behalf. And then at the end, there's there's the bottom half of the front side of that page and the back half and a QR code are for a survey of what else you might like to do to end the cycle of violence in the Middle East. And with that, I think I need to shut up and pass the podium to Mubarak. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. I'm very happy to be here in Kansas. When I was told that I'm going to speak and to come to Kansas, I said yes. And my yes was because I have many families in Kansas. And a lot of my family, they make Kansas, especially Overland Park, their place. And that was always a pleasure to come to Kansas. I'm a Palestinian. I'm a Christian Palestinian. Majority of the Palestinians are Muslim. And that's important to know that we have extraordinary ways of dealing with each other. During Christmas, many Israelis, they will wonder what will happen between the Christian and the Muslims. Because we go in Ramadan to each other's houses, they come with Christmas and feast to our houses, and we enjoy ourselves. And that is a great thing in what we do as Palestinians. But I want to tell you my story. And it's not only my story. It's the story of thousands and thousands of Palestinians. I was 5 years old in 1948. In that time, there was no Israel. There were Jews who came, shot my father, and then decided that we have to leave the house immediately. And I was 5 years old. I'm saying that because I was thinking of Gaza. How many young people in Gaza who are 5, 6, 7, 8 years old have their life changed when I am 80 years old now, it affects me every day. The blessing I have in my life was my mother. She said loud and clear to me and to my brothers and sisters, don't ever think of carrying a gun. The ones who shot your father, they didn't know that they make me a widow, and you have 5, 6, 7 kids with me, and my grandmother with me, and we have to leave the house to the old city of Jerusalem into the street. Don't kill. That's what I want from you, a promise not to kill, not to carry a gun. That's very tough for me, because I'm a young 5 years old. I want to kill everyone who killed my father. I want to destroy the whole world. But I love my mother. She sacrificed everything she had for us as children. Yet even when we were in the streets, a Muslim lady by the name of Hind al-Husseini, she heard of us. She have kids, children, from a massacre happened nearby Jerusalem called Deir Yassin. She came to my mother and she told her, I like to help you. I could take one of your children, and that was Ellen. And if it's okay with you, I have other children who have troubles like yours, and I have a home for them. And my mother told her, you can have Ellen to help me, but she have a brother whose name is Alex. And she said, but I'm having the school for girls. She said, Ellen always take care of her brother. Please, if you want to take Ellen, take Alex. And he was a child with tears in his eyes. His nose is full. He cannot cough. He was sick. You name it, he was. And that lady, she looked at him and he looked at her, and she said, I'm going to take both of them. And that's it, Hind al-Husseini. Then she called the school that she started Dar al-Tifl, the home for a child, after Alex. And Alex graduated, and he always was thankful for Sit Hind al-Husseini. Then another lady who was a Christian lady, she heard of the story from Sit Hind al-Husseini that there is a family sleeping in the street and they need help. So she came to my mother. But before that, my brother Bishara, he always pray, God, if I have to leave this house, if I have to leave my mother, let me come with a brother, that he will come with me. And when she came to talk to my mother, she said, I want to take 2 of your children, Bishara, and then she took me. And we went to her house and she took care of us. Then, after that, there were so many people. And I have to tell you something that is difficult to tell you. After the war, we have many marriages between Jews and Arabs, many marriages. And when the state of Israel began, a lot of Jews who have children from Arabs, they were afraid. So they start throwing or putting back those children in the streets of Jerusalem. So we were together then with all those Jewish children, but they were left completely out because those Jews afraid that when the state of Israel exists, they would not accept us as Jews because we marry Palestinians. So those kids that I grew up with, and to continue on that, in 1967 when we have the war, and Jordan and the Arab country lost the war, a lot of Israeli women, they came looking for their children. And that was a moment that I never forget. I am your mother. No, you're not my mother. I am your mother. I say, why you left me? Well, it was circumstances that I left you. And it have difficult to build a relationship on that. But a lot of them then went with their mother, and they have difficulty in communicating, difficulty in living in that situation, but they did it. Palestinians, we have to think twice in leaving Palestine. With all the difficulties that we have, we love Palestine. I love the vegetables of Palestine. I love the lemon. I love the oranges. I love everything in Palestine. I'm a Palestinian. It wasn't my decision to be a Palestinian. I was born there. I could be born in Switzerland or in somewhere else, but I was born in Palestine. And it's not a burden, it's a blessing. But I have to take that blessing with everything as a Palestinian. To be under occupation, it doesn't matter who occupy you. I feel you have to resist occupation. There's no good occupation. When people think they are better than you are, and they have the gun in your head, and if you don't follow their orders, they'll shoot you, they destroy you, they take your houses, and they have the gun. What you want to do? It's occupation. And that carried so much with me, with my ideas, that something have to be done with Palestinians. I was good in school. I have scholarship to come to the United States. I came for 2 years, and I was very excited to come to the state and study religion. And I was in a college to study religion, and I find it in America it's very tough to study religion. I was in Tennessee, and Tennessee, at that time, in early 60s, they don't like blacks. And I like to go to a black church to worship there. I enjoy their singing. Then when I come back to the college, it's like I am something wrong with me. Why you have to go to a black church? Well, I love their singing. I love their worship, how they worship. They shout, they get God, and everything is nice. I like it. Even my professors there, and especially the president of the university, said, don't go there. I said, you cannot tell me where to go and worship. I wouldn't. So I didn't last more than 2 years. I left back, and I say, America is the worst country in the world. They hate blacks, and those blacks, they think, the Americans, that they are not humans. They don't treat them as human beings. And I didn't like that. So my mother, she said, we send you to study religion, and you came without religion. Then another thing happened. There were Mennonite schools in our area, and I was asked to come and teach at the Mennonite school. And after a year in teaching there in the school, a fellow, he came to the school and he said, you are very well educated, your English is good. We like to take you to America. I said, no, I wouldn't go to America. But he said, I'll give you a car. I said, of course I go. And I'm a Palestinian, you know. I came to Ohio, and I came to Bluffton, Ohio, a Mennonite college, and there was love in that college because it's a peaceful place. People are understanding peace. People are saying bad thing about war, and I became very well about how they are doing as Mennonites. In the beginning, I have no idea what is Mennonites, you know. But having been there for a while, I study sociology, I study social work, and one time I have to have a report. And the report was that I have to go to a place nearby in a courthouse and write a report about children. And I saw children in jail, young children in jail. And oh my, I went to the judge, I told him, what's going on? Why you put children in jail behind bars? He said, who are you? I said, I am a student at Bluffton College, and this is wrong. He said, it's wrong? You could take the children and do whatever you want with them. I said, are you sure? He said, yes. I took the children from jail to my dorm in the college, and I have them in my school. I love children. Whenever I see a child who's abused, I feel I am that child. So I do everything to help those children. And even the president of the University of Bluffton came and said, you cannot have those children here, that you have to start something else to do with the children. And then he said, you have to have organization, and I started an organization for children. But as a Palestinian, I felt so good to start children who are suffering in the United States, who are abused, or they are being put in court because they steal or they have drugs or problem, whatever it is. I felt good about it, very good about it. I finished education in the United States, and I said, I have to go back home. I went back home and started a counseling center. And if you want to make money in counseling in an Arab world, especially in Palestine, forget it. The people go to their priest, to sheikh, to someone else for counseling. They don't come to you. And then you ask them for money. It's weird. So that, and because the political idea over there being under occupation, it becomes very bad. So I decided what I learned from the college about Martin Luther King, about Gandhi, about other people who believe in nonviolence. And I thought, hey, that's my mother thought, don't carry a gun, be nonviolent. So I decided I'll open a center in Jerusalem, and I call it the Palestinian Centre for the Study of Nonviolence. And I was so much interested in this Gandhi. Gandhi was skinny, but smart, and he, as a skinny, smart fellow who looks ugly even, he liberated India. I say, if he can do it, why we cannot do it in Palestine, liberate Palestine from the Israelis? So I have a van, I put all the pictures of Gandhi, everything so big. I went from village to village. I tell them, you see this fellow, he liberated India. And we could, as nonviolence, we could liberate ourselves from the Israelis. And boy, oh boy, this is terrible. What's nonviolence? Who is Gandhi? Then I say there's another fellow also, his name is Martin Luther King. He was being hated by a lot of white people in the States, but he fight for justice and equality. And now the blacks receive justice and equality in the United States. We could do it here. Who's Martin Luther King? We don't know anything about that. And then we start giving lecture, we start doing a lot of things, but they need more. Palestinians need more. And I start giving lectures to the Palestinians, and it's the same like you are here, and Palestinians came to hear how we could get rid of occupation. And getting rid of occupation, I opened my mouth. I said, we as Palestinians, we are under occupation because we choose to be under occupation. It's our choice. And everybody look at me like you look at me now. What do you mean by choice? I said, if we don't want that choice, we have to resist on a daily basis. We should not eat anything made in Israel. We should not drink any soda that's made in Israel. We should not pay taxes at all. And the Israeli will give us the water bill, electric bill, all in Hebrew, and we should return them back, and we say we are Arabs, they should be in Arabic, and the Israeli were smart. The next month, they start putting all the bills in Arabic, English, and Hebrew so that we'll pay our bills. But more than that, we should not accept the court of the Israelis, and we should resist the Israelis, but we have to resist them in nonviolence. I start going to colleges, to universities, to refugee camps, and to tell people that the power of nonviolence is important, it's good, and it works, and show them example of around the world with many methods and many theories of nonviolence that work, and we as Palestinians, we could do that. But suddenly, the Israeli government and the Israeli soldiers, they heard of my name. And in many occasions, when the Israeli will come and uproot olive trees from a farmers who have those olive trees for hundreds of years, they uproot them, take them out from their roots. And then they come to the center and they ask, look, the Israeli uproot our olive trees, what we could do. I said, well, if they uproot one tree, let's go and plant 10 more olive trees, even if it's going to take so long for them to have fruits. And we went to several people. We went to Jewish organizations who are peace organizations. We have a lot of people from foreign countries working with Palestinians. We took them all and said, we are going to plant olive trees where those uprooted. And it was a very much of a joyful thing. And I told the Palestinians also that there will be Israeli peace groups that they will plant olive trees with us, but they will be noon, you have to cook for them. That took a little bit of time. And then a lot of people start coming. And I was saying to them that we would not throw stones. Even if the Israeli comes, we would not take whatever materials that we have in our hands for the Israeli to say that we are not interested except planting olive trees. And because we are so many, the Israeli came with their soldiers, and they start, whatever we planted, those small olive trees like that, they start uprooting them. And one of our person who was with us was an Israeli. And he was a major in the Israeli army. We didn't know. The Israeli fellow, the soldier, tried to give him a hard time, and he said, I need your ID. And that fellow, he said, it's better not to show you my ID. He said, I want it. And he showed it, he saluted. And that became a very much of a difficult situation for us. Okay? How to plant an olive trees, it's something against the Israeli mentality that it's wrong to plant olive trees. What they have against planting olive trees? Then I was arrested. And my wife is here. When I go out, you say, hey, keep your wallet here, because if you are arrested, I want to know that you don't have your wallet with you. I said, okay, all right. It doesn't matter if I talk to someone later on, he would be arrested. They were so scared of nonviolence. And then they said that I have to be kicked out of the country because of my activities in nonviolence. And here comes the United States. The United States requested from the Israeli, please don't kick him out. He's a person who's telling people to be nonviolent. Why you have to kick him out? What the world will say about you if you kick a person of nonviolence? They didn't care. To lengthen my stay at home, I said, I want to go to the Supreme Court of the Israelis. I want to see if it's not one decision, it was the Supreme Court of Israel that they kicked me out of nonviolence. And the Israeli court, mercy, they were vicious because I'm a Palestinian. And I told them, then, you are a Supreme Court, I came to you against even my ideas that I'll go to an Israeli court, and I thought I might have some kind of idea that I might have justice here. There's no justice for you as a Palestinian. No justice. I told them, are you kicking me because I'm a Christian? No, we're not. I said, how you kick me? I was here in this country before you have Israel. You don't have authority on me. They couldn't figure it out. And I told them, then you kick me because I'm an Arab. They have difficulty understanding why I even question the High Court and why they kick me. They said, you told Palestinians to resist occupation. You told Palestinians not to pay taxes. You told Palestinians not to eat products that made in Israel. You are a nonviolent person, and you are the most dangerous fellow in Israel. And that went into the press in Israel, I am the most dangerous fellow. So they said, we have to deport you. What it means, deporting? That means they come in the middle of the night, 13, 14 of them. I was with my wife, and we have some friends with us at home. They came and took me, and they put me 45 days in prison. And then they want me to go in an Israeli airline to go out of the country. And here I was, in iron, in feet, and here. And I said, no. I wouldn't ride in an Israeli airline, which at that time it's El Al. I said, I wouldn't. They couldn't understand, who are you to tell us no? I said, because I know that if a person who is forced to go in the airline, the airline cannot have him go in that airline. So they waited for 6 more hours. Then I went into a TWA. Maybe a lot of you know that there was a TWA airline, okay? And now it's gone, the TWA. And I was with 2 Israeli soldiers in plain clothes. They put me in the back of the plane. When the plane went up, the captain came and he said, Mr. Awad, we would like to come in first class. Why? What? I'm in the first class. They took me, and 2 of them, they want to come. I said, no, only him. And what they did to me, that fellow captain, he said, we got news from the American embassy that you are not a terrorist. You are a good person. Just you are a nonviolent person. In that time, Secretary of State Schultz was coming even to talk to the Israeli not to deport me. And Reagan tried hard with the Prime Minister not to deport me. They didn't listen. I am dangerous. I'm dangerous because of nonviolence. Then in my head, what kind of people that they don't want peace with us? Why the Israeli don't want peace? Why they are afraid of us? Why we are not afraid of them? They are afraid of us. And I figured it out. If somebody steal your land, if somebody take your home, if somebody shoot your dad, okay, some of them, they can't sleep. They feel the power of the gun, and they think that only the power of gun could save them. Like what they are doing now in Gaza, killing 35,000 people in Gaza. The Palestinians don't have fighter planes, they don't have tanks, they don't have jeeps, and they are killing them, children and everybody being dead. And say, what's wrong with the Israelis? Why they do that? How come they do that? And then it came to my mind, I say, oh my, somebody have to be supporting them. And we have to watch who is supporting them. England and United States. England will send them weapons, Germany will send them weapons, and United States send them weapons and money and kill. When they want to stop, after 50,000 killed, after 100,000 killed, do they think that we as Palestinians, we are going to surrender? We are stubborn people who love our country, who love our food, who love our land, and we will never surrender. It doesn't matter how much they kill. They don't understand that. After that, I went back to United States, and my wife Nancy, she was the principal of a school in Ramallah, and after she finished the school, she had to leave the school. She wasn't deported, but she volunteered that, came with me out there. I'm not telling you about my life alone. We have many stories of many Palestinians that have this terrible life in their way of surviving there. If you are a Palestinian in the West Bank, and there's no Hamas in the West Bank, they could come at night and destroy your house, burn your car, and they call them settlers. If you don't like that, and if you try to chase them out, they'll call the police. And they say to the police, look, the Palestinians are now going to chase us. We have afraid of our women and for our children. Please help us. And the Israeli soldiers, they are ready to shoot and kill us. Welcome, you are the ones who took destroying the house. You are the ones who burned the cars. And you call the police that we are the ones who are aggressive. What logic is that? But that logic was spread all over. And I have to tell you that many presidents of the United States accept the lies of Israel. All of them. All of them. Israel have atom bomb. If anybody asks the President of the United States, does Israel have any bombs, atom bombs? No, no, no. No, no, no. Each president will say, no, 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 no. Suddenly the Israelis, when they attack Gaza, one of the people from the left wing of the Israelis, they said, we have to use our bombs to destroy Gaza. And that they opened What happened to the American presidents who say no bombs and no nuclear bombs in Gaza? Why we in America afraid of Israel? We give them money, we give them everything. They don't listen to us. What it is, sometimes it's surprising. And sometimes you have to think of things in your head and say, well, maybe it's those Christians in America who believe something different than everybody else. That those Palestinians are terrorists. All of them are terrorists. They are born terrorists. And we as Jews, we are the chosen people of God. You are the chosen people of God. You think that you are born with a gun to kill Palestinians? That's what chosen means? Chosen to destroy a country, to destroy the people, to destroy women, to kill 35,000 people? And that's chosen by God? What kind of a God you have? The Jewish God is not Israeli God. You are creating your own God for destruction. Go back to your religion and accept the Jewish religion, rather accepting Israel as your religion. And it's very tough for us to accept that. However, we as Palestinians, I as a Palestinian, with whatever happened to me, I should hate Jews, but I don't. I should be angry and upset for Jews, but I don't. I feel sorry for them. You are afraid of us when we have nothing to fight. So our power has to be nonviolence. That's what feared the Israelis. And that's why I commit myself to continue my effort with the Palestinians in a nonviolent way. When I came to DC, after my deportation, I started teaching at the American University about methods and theory of nonviolence. I was very, very welcomed by a lot of students who really start thinking of using nonviolence method in their daily life, to use nonviolence with their families, to use nonviolence in the community. It's easy, but it's difficult and it's dangerous to be a nonviolent person. But that would not stop me. So I started a center in Washington, D.C., which is called Nonviolence International, that I'll go and speak in different countries about nonviolence. I'll speak in different organizations who use a gun about nonviolence. I went to Hamas people telling them about nonviolence. I went to the PLO offices in Tunis. I talk about nonviolence. Wherever I go, I talk about nonviolence. And I think that we as a human being, we have the intelligence of resolving all conflict in talking, in action, rather than killing each other. And thank you for hearing me.
So we have some questions here, I think.
Yeah. One says, at this time and after events like the Nakba and repeated Israeli invasions of the West Bank for the foundation settlements, what would a new peace accords look like? Is right to return still possible? If so, how would that process carry out? Are the settlements in the West Bank being established in order for Israel to protect Jaffa's strategic position? Was Hamas's action in 2023 an act of terrorism? This sounds like a whole long bunch of questions. And both Israelis and Palestinians claim ancient roots in the region. whose claim is true? That's a lot of questions.
I didn't understand a single word you said.
Okay, can you hear me now? Yes. All right, it says, at this time and after events like the Nakba and repeated Israeli invasion of the West Bank for the foundation settlements, what would a new peace accords look like? And I'll just stop there. Well, I was going to let you answer each one because there's about 4 questions in this question.
What will the new peace accord look like?
Well, you have to come tomorrow. I have, and I'll share some of that with you. Thank you for who has a question. 7th step to end the cycle of nonviolence in Israel and Palestine. But that's my speech tomorrow. And I think we as Palestinians and Israelis have to understand 3 things. We cannot kill all the Israelis. Doesn't matter. We cannot kill them. The Israelis. Sorry. I'm good. Thank you. I go from the beginning, and I wrote 7 steps to end the cycle of violence in the Israeli-Palestinian, and that's for my lecture tomorrow. But I'll tell you a few things now from it. We as Palestinians, we cannot kill all the Israelis. It doesn't matter if we try, we don't try. We are terrorists, not terrorists, we cannot kill them. The Israelis, they cannot kill all the Palestinians. They tried for 70 years to destroy us. And one of the things they hate about us is that we have too many children all the time. So children population is good for us. They couldn't deal with us as Palestinians. We cannot kill them, they cannot kill us. So what's the use of continue, make our life difficult, destroy everything that we have, and create more hatred? When I was 5 years old, I am 80 now. I am not angry because of my mother. Don't carry a gun, don't hate. Even the Israelis. Not everybody have a mother like mine. People are upset and angry. They want violence. They want to kill. But they cannot kill us all. So what I'm thinking is that we have, as human beings, to work something in our head that we could talk to Israelis, they could talk to us, we could negotiate. They don't need to like us, we don't need to like them, but at least we could have peace together and everybody will be happy as human beings. And that's what one of those steps are. The other step, it's more important, is that many times, and that goes to you as European, as Americans, we don't want you to support the Palestinian. We don't need your support, okay? Your support for us have to be justice. Not supporting us as Palestinian, you support justice. You support fairness. You support that people who have been deprived of their freedom for 70 years, they need freedom. We need a life like other people's. Colonization ended. Lebanon is free. Syria is free. Syria is free from occupation. Iraq is free from the British. Only Palestinian that we have those Jews come from different countries of the world and create a state in the middle of the Arab world, okay, to control us, to slave us, You cannot go from Bethlehem to Jerusalem without stopping in a stop place, okay, to check you out. Checkpoints everywhere. You cannot travel without a visa. You cannot go from one city to another city. Our life is miserable. Yet we are strong as Palestinians. We could stand fast another 10 years, another 100 years. We are not giving up. Nobody can give up freedom. Nobody can give up justice. Nobody could accept occupation from other people. Doesn't matter who they are. That's the second step. I wouldn't tell you more. What's next?
Okay, another question is, what is the Palestinian perspective on Hamas? Do Palestinians like and support Hamas's military actions, or are they against Hamas? What's your opinion on the October events between Hamas and Israel?
Over here, we make a difference between Hamas and the Palestinian. We, as Palestinian, we don't make a difference. Hamas are Palestinian like all of us in the West Bank and Gaza. They have bad time. In Gaza, if you know, for 19 years, Israelis sieged Gaza. They wouldn't allow them to go in the sea. They wouldn't allow them to have butter. They wouldn't allow them to have any things in Gaza. They are fed up, fed up, fed up. And if you put a cat in a corner, after that, the cat wants to get rid of being in the corner. It will scratch you, it will fight you until do that. And that's what happened in Gaza. You cannot put humans in that situation without reacting to that situation. You cannot kill all the families of people and have one child still alive. You cannot kill all the children and all the wives and all the girls and all the boys. You cannot kill all the goats and all the cows and all the sheep in Gaza because people eat them to live. You cannot destroy all the farms, all the grapes, all the strawberries in Gaza because people eat them. And if you put yourself in their shoes, and if you put yourself in my shoes, by the way, I have big shoes, it will be difficult, okay? I am nonviolent, but I'm supporters of Hamas. And when we talk about Hamas, okay, maybe not of you, a lot of you don't know, they were elected by democracy. And when Hamas were elected, United States first said we wouldn't accept that democracy. Israel would not accept that democracy. Why United States would not accept the democratic places in the Palestinian election? Because of Hamas came to power. Look whom you have as president in the United States. And the people of Palestine who are not saying to, oh no, don't for this, don't vote for that. Hey, that's your business. Why you Americans always want to involve in everybody's business? You don't accept that there are people who have their own mind and they could make their own decision. You did that in Libya. When people say, the religious people won in Libya, no, we don't accept that. What you have against Islam? Be sensible as a government in the United States. You cannot do whatever you as a United States government want people to do. The time is out of that. So that's my answer. Next question. Yes?
So the idea of nonviolence is very noble, and I love this idea. But how can you convince people with nonviolence when here in America they made nonviolence illegal? They made the BDS, the boycott, divest, and sanction, illegal in many states. Okay, so even when you try to convince people of nonviolence, You are committing an illegal act here in America.
That is nonviolence. Is to go against those thing goal and then those laws. Just do it. Don't think of the laws. Think of justice.
Okay, if there are there other questions? To repeat for the audience on YouTube, the previous question was that the United States had made nonviolence illegal. In fact, under Holder versus the Humanitarian Law Project, it's against U.S. law to teach nonviolence to anyone who is designated as a terrorist by the United States State Department. So is there someone else that has a question?
Thank you. The first thing I want to say is that your position of nonviolence is commendable. And I think it's unfortunate that more native Palestinians have not taken that approach. Beginning in May 1948, when 5 armies from 3 countries crossed into Israel with the intention of annihilating the Israelis upon the birth of their nation. Going forward, there have been 6 wars, of which 2 are called intifadas, but you were probably a lone voice speaking for nonviolence, because a lot of the efforts in the intifadas were violent. And you've spoken about the chain and recurring violence, and because one side will do something to the other, then the other side retaliates, which is what's happening right now. And I know people who have children who are in Israel and deeply worried that they too would have their lives snuffed out, because there needs to be a change where both sides, not just one side, but both sides make a commitment to peace. And unfortunately, Yasser Arafat did not do that. They had a deal that he accepted, but he did not do that, and it continued the violence. What do you say could be done? Not just, it's, we have our platitudes about, peace, but we don't get the actions that are necessary. We need more of what you personally have done, but we need others to do that too, so that there will be both sides working for peace. What are your comments on this and the trajectory, the history, the 6 wars and going forward?
Thank you very much.
We have 6 wars, and every war of them, the Israeli won. All right? But we don't have a lot of wars against us with the Israelis as Palestinians. Except those massacres now, it's happened in Gaza. So we don't feel ourselves as defeated, as Palestinian defeated by Israel. We never ever put the white flag like Jordan, like Egypt, like Syria, like Lebanon. We never raised the white flag. And then we said, oh, let's talk to the Israelis. We couldn't talk to the Israelis a lot when they are occupying us. Okay, that's one thing. We are completely against the creation of the State of Israel. The Zionist idea is to take a land that completely empty, without people, and to put those Jews who come from all over the world in that land, which is called Palestine. And for the surprise of those Jews who came, hey, you told us there is no people in this land, and there are families, they have homes, they have olive trees, they have orange trees. What we have to do, you have to give us, by force they start taking our homes, our furniture, and to give it to the Jews. Of course, we were against the establishment of the State of Israel. So that's in the beginning. After 70 years, Palestinians, Saudis, everybody accept existence of the State of Israel. And we accept that Israel could have on 67 border, that will be Israel, and that will be Palestine. Even Saudi Arabia and Lebanon brought all the Arab leaders, and they said to the Israelis, if we have a Palestinian state and Israeli state, all the Arabs will accept Israel to be where they are at, within the 67 borders. Israel have a dream, and that dream is a wild dream. Not only they want the West Bank and Gaza, they want the land without the people. They want us out. And after that, they might take Jordan. After Jordan, they might take Lebanon. They say, we have the gun and we are small, but we want to be bigger. And that's what all the Arabs are afraid of. Every time the Arab world will have something with Israel, okay, then it comes the Palestinian, and we oppose it. Abraham Accord, the Israelis, American, British, especially Germany, they go to Saudi Arabia, well, recognize Israel. We are both belong to Abraham, okay? And then we Palestinian, we are a thorn, not one, 10 thorns in the bottom of the Israelis that we say, no, we would not accept you as occupying us. What do you think? You jumped to go to the Arab against us? You jumped to go to America against us. But don't go to the Arab and jump against us. We will not allow it. And that's what I'm saying to you. If Israel came from day one that we have been persecuted from the Germans who are Christians, not Muslims, Christians, they start burning them. If they say, please help us, we as Palestinians will open our heart, we open our houses for them to come, but not to come and destroy us, not to come and take our homes. Armenians, when there's fight with a lot of Armenians, we have thousands and thousands of Armenians. They came to Lebanon, to Syria, to Jerusalem. Even in Jerusalem, we have an Armenian quarter so that they will be safe. If you look a little bit of your history, we have been supporter of Jews everywhere, every time. Jews were not our enemy. Israel is our enemy. Not only Israel is our enemy, Zionism is our enemy. That they lie to those Jews to come and destroy all what they have in their faith. So please, don't throw those things as they are easy. We will not accept those regulations. Thank you.
You said that the God of Israel is not the Jewish God, I believe. Correct me if I'm wrong. You said that earlier, that the God of Israel is not really Jewish.
Somebody explain what.
You said the God of Israel is not the God of Jews.
Of course. I said that purposely. If you look at Israel, the Israelis, not so many of them believe in God. A lot of Israelis, they don't believe in God. If you look at any place, say how many Israelis believe in God. And they're up to them, because what happened in Germany, and God didn't help them in Germany, so they don't believe in God. That's their choice, but not to push us as Palestinians. Jews believe in God. We as Christians, as Muslims, we believe in God. We believe in the God. Jews have to believe in that God, that He is God of mercy. And how could I look at Gaza, where they are killing and don't want to stop, don't want ceasefire? Even the President of the United States begged them, and he'll give them, I'll give you more money, but stop killing. They are not listening. What kind of people do those believe in God? I wouldn't accept it. God is a God of mercy. God is a God of love. He's not a God of violence and destruction. And I challenge those Israelis that they have to go back to the Bible and be good Jews, because we want Judaism to grow as any other religion in that area.
Well, the state of Israel seems to be operating under the assumption that by invading and making war, somehow they will magically become a more peaceful country. Is this a religious belief of human sacrifice, that by sacrificing other people, somehow peace will magically come through God's favor? Thank you.
I'm a simple Christian. Simple. Okay? When you tell me about things, I have to ask myself, is that justice? Is that compassion? And if, for me, if the God of Christianity is not compassion and not justice, and don't want me to be free of speaking, to be free of movement, why I have such a God? I really debate myself to be that good Christian or not. But I believe myself that God is a God of compassion. He is a God of Jews. Why they don't have compassion? Every state in the world will tell the Israelis, stop the killing. And the Israelis, what they do, I don't want to show you on one finger that they raise to everybody. But that's what they do to all the world. Leave us alone. We know how to deal with those Palestinians. And there is ugliness in it. And as a Christian, when you feel this ugliness, you say, what's wrong? Okay, what's wrong? Is it religion? Is it nationality? And when they say, well, it's security, bunch of baloney when they tell you security, when they have all the atom bombs, when they have all the power, and Palestinians have no power at all, and say security, security, you have all the guns, what do you mean security? If you failed once for the Hamas people to come in, and the Hamas people got into your security, it's scary, it makes no sense that you have to kill everybody because of your stupidity, that you don't guard your own borders. Don't blame it on us. And that's where it comes. We are not stupid. We Palestinians, we have doctors everywhere. We have engineers everywhere. We have professors everywhere. We are not like 80 years ago, we don't know how to read and write. We could compete. We could compete with everybody in the world. We are like you. We like best things for our children, best things, best houses, best everything like others. And if you deny us that because we are Palestinian or because we are Arabs, nearly 60 years ago before I rode a camel. I don't have camels in my house. So understand that we are all equal. So don't make it easy for you to say, well, they are Arabs. They have sand. They don't understand things. We built several New Yorks in different places, and we call it the sand of the Arabs, Saudi Arabia. We have better places than in New York, in Bahrain, and everywhere. If you look at, see how much advanced those Arabs are. Why you hate us in your mind, or you want to put us less than human being? We are not accepting that. Yes.
Thank you so much for the talk. I personally love nonviolence, and I'm with peaceful resistance. And as a Palestinian, I'm waiting for the day we have peace for both people in the region. However, we had negotiations with Israelis for many years, and we did not get anything. Things got worse. We had more settlements in the West Bank. And unfortunately, after all the violence that happened on October 7th and many people killed from both sides, now the whole world is talking about Palestine. Won't this make your job to convince people that peaceful resistance is the way to go? Won't make this a harder job?
Thank you for the question. I have a translator here for me. What happened in Gaza, for me as a Palestinian with all the difficulty, is that people are not ashamed of the word Palestine. People are not scared when they see the flag of Palestine. They see it every day in all universities in the United States and in the world. So Palestine is good. It becomes good. So I feel good about it. That's one part. The second part is that we have to look at our president. He is telling us Israel is not listening to us as Americans. They want to do whatever they want, but we still want to give them money. That's a problem for us. That becomes a problem. If we give you money, do whatever we tell you to do. Don't attack Rafah and kill another 50,000 Palestinians there. And they say, no, we don't want to. We do whatever we want. Well, stop the money. We have the power to stop the money. And the last thing, the more difficult situation is, the more I believe that people have to hear about nonviolence. You have to have nonviolence in your home. You have nonviolence in your community. You know, you have nonviolence with your husband or with your wife. Don't shout at her. Don't shout at him. Be patient with each other. Love each other. And that's what nonviolence is. Between cities, between countries, but also in the family. We have violence everywhere in the streets of America. You don't hear your news except this killed this, and this shot this, and this killed. We have to work hard with our young people to be nonviolent too.
If I can, I've got a couple other things I'd like to respond a little bit to that last question, and then we've got Christopher Overfelt, who has a 5-minute talk that Michael Beer asked that we ask him to speak. Michael Beer is the director of Nonviolence International. But as to the question also about what's really effective. It turns out that since the year 2000, there's been some important research on the relative effectiveness of violence and nonviolence, led by Erica Chenoweth and Maria Stefan, and they found that they created an inventory of all the major violent and nonviolent governmental change efforts of the 20th century. 25% of the violent revolutions were successful, 53% of the nonviolent campaigns were successful, so the people were more likely to be successful with nonviolence as with violence. More importantly, when they looked at the change in the level of democratization during and after the conflict, they found that violent revolutions had no change in the level of democracy on average, but nonviolent campaigns, win or lose, improve the level of democratization. So I'm a statistician. I'm not certain of anything, okay? But I believe in playing the odds, right? And just to Sarah, they also looked at situations that were mostly nonviolent campaigns that had a, quote, radical flank that had some violence. And they found that the radical flank reduced substantially the effectiveness of the violence. And with that, I think we need to I can ask Christopher Overfelt to come up here and give a few words, and then I want to talk about the follow-on survey if we can, so Chris, go for it.
Hey, Mr. Awad, thank you so much for coming all the way out here. My name is Chris Overfelt. I'm not going to take up a lot of time. I'll be quick. But I work with a few different groups here in Kansas City, and I just want to discuss briefly some concrete strategies that we can use here in Kansas City to address the conflicts that are being waged by our American empire. And I want to start by saying it's vital that within our different groups that we allow for different perspectives and we allow for room for differing perspectives, and that when we identify goals that we want to work towards as collective groups, that we set aside our differences and we work towards those goals. So having said that, I'm going to say some things that people are going to disagree with. That's a good thing. I'm not here to try and convince you to think anything. I'm just sharing my perspective on this. So the first strategy that we can use is legal documentation of the crimes that our politicians here in Kansas and Missouri are facilitating. And that means we document the specific weapons that are being used in Gaza. We document where they're manufactured at. We document the specific instances where the war crimes take place. And then we trace how that money goes from our pockets through our politicians into the people, the hands of the people who are committing the war crimes. So there's different courts. There's international courts with the Rome Statute, the Geneva Convention, that we can pursue litigation, and there's also domestic courts, because right now our politicians are breaking their own laws, the Leahy Law and the Safe Rite of Passage Law, that are codified in United States legislation by providing weapons to war criminals in Israel. So there are legal avenues we can take to prosecute our politicians right now, and the important part that we do right now is we document and we record the paperwork, and we find out what weapons are being used and who's paying for them, and we trace that money flow. The second strategy is it's more distant, but it's something that we need to start developing now. And the specific strategy is, I call it force capacity reduction, which is directed directly at the United States military. And it means reducing the capacity for the U.S. military to inflict harm around the world. And I think personally, it has become evident that the U.S. military is willing to commit genocide in order to achieve its hegemonic goals. And we are witnessing this right now in Gaza. So as the climate catastrophe worsens, as we advance more and more towards war with Russia and China and Iran, we need to start developing strategies now to disrupt the production and transfer of weapons that come out of Kansas City and the Midwest and then get shipped and used around the world by the U.S. military and its proxies. So there's a growing consensus that in order for the poor people around the world and here in the United States to survive the climate catastrophe and possible nuclear war, that the American empire must be destroyed. Now, I recognize that that statement is hyperbolic, but I just want to briefly outline what that means. The American empire rests on 4 pillars. The first is the oil and gas industry, the second is the banking industry, and the third is the U.S. military, the fourth is the media. So as a veteran, my focus is on exposing and resisting the American military complex. And I think there are specific direct actions that we can take here in Kansas City that can directly affect force capacity reduction in regard to the U.S. military. And the strategy has 3 phases. The first is to change the narrative around our military and weapons manufacturers from one of defense and jobs to one of genocide and greed, right? We can do this simply by talking to our families, our neighbors, and our communities. The second phase is intelligence gathering. That means there are many weapons manufacturer subsidiaries and military bases here in the Midwest. And we must work to identify and expose where the weapons of genocide are made and the logistical routes used to make and ship them. The final phase is direct action, which is blocking strategic locations with our bodies to disrupt the weapons manufacturer and shipment process. That means we block the doors of these corporations, we block the gates of the military bases, we block the roads where the trucks are carrying the weapons, and we block the runways where the aircraft are carrying and taking off. We are in a unique position here in the Midwest to affect force capacity reduction in regards to the United States military. And we can use direct action to disrupt the manufacture and shipment of weapons that take place in our communities. And I'm just going to end with one final analogy. The train tracks of empire have been laid. We know where they are going. They are going to Ukraine, they're going to Taiwan, and they're going to Israel. The train is leading us to war with Russia, China, and Iran. We are all on this train together. We can't unlay the tracks, and we can't get off the train, but we can slow it down. By reducing the effectiveness of the U.S. military through disrupting weapons manufacturing, we can slow down the train of empire and reduce its catastrophic effects for all of humanity. Thank you guys very much.
Okay, so I have one more humble request. If you can, we can use donations because we're paying for Mubarak's airfare and the use of this facilities and then the YouTube Live and so forth. But in any case, there's coffee and baklava and tea waiting outside, and the handout with the questionnaire, if you can't get there's a QR code on the back. If you can get that to work, great. Otherwise, please fill out the questionnaire for us. The other handout on alternatives for follow-up action starts with, we are all prisoners of the media we find credible, except for leaders, especially elected officials who are prisoners of the media their followers find credible. And there's a list of possible alternative actions that I brainstormed myself following a principle of political jiu-jitsu that maybe Mubarak will talk about tomorrow. So, Jerusalem Cafe brought some baklava, and there's coffee and tea out in the back, so please help yourself. And I'm told that we're supposed to be out of here by 4, so you've got 35 minutes. Thank you so much.